Hollywood just keeps giving us reasons why you should never, ever get on an airplane. Ever. Plane was directed by Jean-Jacques Rochette. It stars Gerald Butler in the titular leading role as the pilot of the plane. In here, a group of federal agents decide to take a villain that they need to extradite to another country aboard a plane which is filled with everyday passengers so they can go inconspicuously. However, a storm comes up, and when the plane goes down in extremely hostile territory controlled by a guerrilla group, everyone must band together to fight for survival. Action movies are far few in between nowadays, so when one like this comes out, even if it doesn't look potentially good, I go to check it out immediately because I just love action. Action is probably one of my favorite genres, and I really like to soak up as much as I can and see how the playing field has changed, especially when it's not necessarily a big budgeted one like John Wick or something. So I went to see this movie, and I have to say, it was alright. Honestly, it was alright. Because, I mean, there's so many things in this movie that are really good. And there's other parts that just aren't that great. To start off with, I'm going to hit the performances. Gerald Butler in here is okay. I'm not too crazy about his performance in here. It's pretty by the numbers and pretty stiff at times. He's not giving his best acting performance I've seen him give. I know he can do better, and he's not giving it all here. Physically, I'd say he did a lot better with the action scenes and stunts. He really dedicated himself to that in a way that I liked. I was very impressed by that, but as far as his acting range in here, it wasn't as up to par as it could be. Aside from that, there also is the guy who plays the villain in here, was not a big fan of the way he played it. He was trying to go, I think, for a stoic appeal, but it didn't necessarily work. Everyone else in here, I'd say, delivers some pretty strong performances, and the characters in here overall are pretty good. They're typical action characters that you'd have in an action movie, and I think the concept is kind of good, despite the fact that them putting this criminal on this plane with a bunch of passengers and not telling anyone except the pilot is kind of stupid and doesn't make any sense at all. The fact that it sets up a plot, which kind of works and makes more sense, is okay with me. Because I really do think when the plane finally crashes, that's when everything really begins to start to work. That's when they start making things happen. They hit some, ideas that you could tell were the main focus, because it's the idea of isolation and confinement to this, jungle-looking area. I didn't like when they cut back, because during the movie, they'll cut back to the people who want to rescue them. That kind of always took me out the movie, ruined the pacing. But when in the jungle, it was fairly entertaining, and I had a pretty good time with just that part. And I enjoyed just watching them survive, and I like to call it video game quests, where, during an action movie, we gotta get over there, and then everybody needs to do it. Or, we gotta get this guard. That was good. That's where the movie was at its best, was when it was just hardcore, survive, fighting the bad guys, outsmarting each other, and just being brutal. That was the best part of this movie, I think. I think also the script does a fairly good job of keeping you invested with dialogue, which is great. The direction is really good in here. I'm not a big fan of all the choices made, but overall I'd say this film lands pretty solidly-ish with some flaws along the way. This is a movie I think if you're super into action, you're probably not going to enjoy it as much. If you're a casual fan, this might entertain you enough, I think. I think you'll have a pretty good time with it, because it's got some tension in it, it's got some good fights, it's got some great action, some chase scenes, and despite the fact there are tropes in here we've seen used 100 times over, which are now being reused, it feels like it's got some energy to it, except for, I feel like the movie in the first act felt a little sleepy. After that, like I said, pretty much after the crash, everything picks up, and from there on out, I'd say the movie got a little bit stronger. I'm not expecting much from movies early this month. January is usually the time where we get the lesser films that come out, and usually by about late February is when things begin to pick up. So, I don't know. It was a pretty good movie. I didn't love it. I had an average time with it, and I'd say it's okay. It's up to you if you want to check it out. Just want a good pastime. Sure, go right ahead. I'm going to give Plane a 5 out of 10. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you all next time.